Quiet quitting and quiet firing. Have you heard these terms yet? Well, if you haven't, you're probably going to see them everywhere now that you have heard them. And if you have, you probably have seen them everywhere. Since about June of 2022, these terms started popping up everywhere. And thanks to our wonderful Gen Z generation who really does a good job of exposing things that aren't right in the workforce, in so many different things. But I specifically speak to the workforce. So I'm going to be speaking about the terms quiet quitting and quiet firing. Now, if you follow me on TikTok at Wonderful Wizard of HR, you will see that I've been talking about this for a little while now, and I have a lot of interaction, especially on my quiet firing posts, but also on my quiet quitting posts. There are a lot of employees and a lot of employers who have a lot to say about these terms. Now, the first thing I want to mention to you is these terms are new, but the tactics are old. They've been around for a very, very, very long time. And I'm going to get into just what these mean and how you, as a small business owner, can prevent, or not even a small business owner, if you're a manager, a supervisor, or you're part of a larger corporation, what you can do to prevent these things from happening in the first place. But before I get into that, I want to say hi to everyone here who is new to my channel. I am the Wonderful Wizard of HR, and I own a business called Kiy HR Services. My name is Teresa Kiwasu, and I have been helping small businesses for the past 10 years with finding and keeping top-notch employees, as well as working through offboarding, succession planning, performance management, everything that you can think of in the employee life cycle. I help small businesses with. And if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can just click on the link in the description below to my website, and everything is in there that you need to know about what we have to offer, including a free HR strategy session that's 1 hour long that helps you figure out what you need to level up your business. Okay, so let's get back into quiet quitting and quiet firing. Let's start with quiet quitting first. So, quiet quitting is a term that basically means that employees who have been doing more for their employers have decided to stop doing more. And why are they not doing more anymore? Because they're not getting recognized, they're not getting rewarded. It has become an expectation of the employer for you to just go above and beyond. It becomes an expectation, and they're working themselves to the bone, and they're taking a stand now. They're saying, you know what? If you're just going to expect me to do more than what my job description says, and you're not going to reciprocate with any kind of recognition or reward, I'm just going to do what my job description says. And I mean, honestly, that's not a bad thing. As employers, we want our employees to come in, do the work, and go home. We want them to have work-life balance. We don't want them to be stressed. We don't want them to have burnout. We don't want any of those things for our employees. So the fact that they're coming in and doing the work is great. But they intrinsically are motivated by doing more. They want to do more for the company, but they want to be recognized for it in some way. Now, one of the comments that I get a lot of in when I talk about reward and recognition, and when I talk about how to prevent quiet quitting on my TikTok, I get a lot of comments saying, "We don't want a pizza party. That is not a reward to us." And I totally agree. You do a pizza party, you're rewarding the masses, and not everybody is a top performer. So that is really not an effective way to reward somebody for doing their work. Now, let's get into some of the things before we get into the quiet firing side. Let's get into some of the things that employers can do. I did give a list in TikTok, but you only get like 15 seconds to 3 minutes to really say anything. So this is where I like to do more long form content to give you more ideas that can help you with being a better employer. First of all, the very first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a performance program set up and a compensation philosophy set up that pays for performance. And your performance management program has to be objective. As soon as you start rating employees subjectively, you start getting into tendencies that are not good, such as the halo effect, the horns effect, central tendencies, similar to me errors. There are so many different, and actually, if you go to my TikTok, I list a whole bunch of different type of errors you can do by being subjective and having these personal biases that you use when you're rating employees. Get rid of that, be objective, take a look at what they're doing, take a look at the competencies, make sure the competencies that you have that you're rating your employees on actually make sense for the position, for the company's values, for the industry. If they don't make sense, don't include them in that performance evaluation. And performance evaluations, there are no one size fits all. There will be many different types of evaluations within your organization. So get that straight and make sure that you pay your top performing employees and pay them well. Compensate them for what they're doing. Another way that you can pay for performance is through incentives. Individualized incentives. When an employee meets a certain goal or they go above and beyond that goal, you're going to give them a bonus, some sort of either monetary bonus or through gift cards or through days off. Time off is huge. A lot of people really like the idea of time off. But if you're wondering, well, what can I do for my employees that's not going to break the bank, that's original? Talk to your employees. Do an employee survey. Ask them what's important to them. If they go above and beyond, how would they like to be rewarded? And then I'm talking the big stuff first, but the little things are important as well. How about a pat on the back? It actually can go a long way by recognizing that they're doing the good work. And if you're not paying attention to what they're doing, and I'm not talking micromanaging here, I'm not saying hover over them to see every little thing that they're doing, but you will know if you have an employee who's going above and beyond, you're going to know that they are. Other ways that you can help them is by recognizing that they are the go-getters. Usually the go-getters want to expand. They either want a promotion or they want to grow within their role, but they need to constantly be given something to grow with. So grow them. If you can't move upwards because you're small, just give them more responsibilities. And when you're a small company, you have the advantage of giving the employees the option to create a role themselves. So they come in a specific role, but then they start taking on something that they really enjoy doing and they kind of build their own role. Tweak it as you go along, talk to them, find out what they like to do. That is key. Okay, so now we've talked about some ways that you can keep your employees intrinsically motivated and how you can reward them for the work that they're doing. I don't want you to force anybody to want to do more, okay? If you have employees who are completely happy with coming in, doing the work and leaving, you want to recognize that as well, because those type of employees are just as important as the ones who want to go above and beyond all the time. Those employees who are fully successful, who completely meet expectations, those ones are the ones that are always going to be loyal who are always going to get the job done right. They're usually very meticulous in the work that they do, and they never, never, never should be punished for doing the work. Meeting expectations is good, and you need to explain that to them. You don't want to not reward them for doing the work. So let's say every year you have an annual increase and you've budgeted 4% increase each year for that. The people who meet expectations are going to get that 4% increase because they did the job the way you wanted them to do the job. The people who went above and beyond, they're going to get more of a bump. They're probably going to get a 6% increase because they are showing more drive to do more, and they are possibly even showing the saving the company money, doing a lot of different things. Now, I could get really deep into performance management, but it's very, very, very deeply connected to compensation, which is deeply connected to reward. But I don't want to get too deep into that because I literally, in the program that I have, the Complete HR Blueprint, I cover an entire lesson on this in one of my modules. So I don't want to go too deep into that for you, but hopefully you get an understanding of how this works. And if you follow me on TikTok, you subscribe to this channel, you're going to get more ideas on how to do this kind of stuff. And if you want results quickly, then come over and be a part of the Complete HR Blueprint. Give me a call. We'll talk through it and become a member. And then you can do everything, learn everything in 8 weeks. Okay, now let's talk quiet firing. What is quiet firing? Quiet firing, in my mind, is ridiculous. It should not even exist, but it has existed in companies for decades, possibly even centuries, and it shouldn't. So what happens is employees are fed up. They're quiet quitting, and employers get frustrated with it. So they rebut with quiet firing. Now, you may have heard other terms in the union environment. You may have heard this as work to rule. And in the legal environment, non-unionized, you may have heard of constructive dismissal. If you haven't heard of these, look them up because it's basically what quiet firing is. And it's not legal. And it's the worst way to deal with employees who are quietly quitting. Quiet firing is when an employee starts quiet quitting and an employer decides that they're going to start doing things to make the employee want to actually quit. How do you think that solves problems? I would love to know in the comments if you think that that's a great way to solve problems. And I'm not talking about, now I've had some employers respond to my quiet firing post on TikTok and say, why would I do anything good for a bad employee? Or, they're talking about quiet firing like it's a good thing for poor performers. We're not talking about poor performers here. There's a way to deal with poor performers. You deal with poor performers in a couple of different ways. Number one, if it's within the probationary period, you can completely let them go. And now I'm talking Canadian, this is Canadian HR, for those of you who aren't familiar with who I help. You can let them go in the probationary period if you already see that they are not fit for the environment for your culture. But also you have progressive discipline or you have performance improvement plans. Those are for the type of employees who are poor performers. You have different ways you can speak with them. There are so many different things you can do, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about your top performing employees. I want to make that very, very clear. Your top performing employees are quietly quitting because they're not being recognized. Okay. So that is your first mistake as an employer. You're not recognizing them for the extra work that they're doing and you're not rewarding them in any way. And then the second mistake is if you've decided that you're going to push them out because they're not going above and beyond anymore, that is your second mistake. You can be sued for constructive dismissal in some cases, and they will seek legal advice on that to help them get through that. You don't want to do that. If you see your employee starting to do less work and things are changing, you have to be in tune with your employees. Number one, communicate. You have to be in tune with them. If you're in tune with them, you're going to see these things, these tendencies start to happen. You're going to start to see your top performing employees start to pull back, and they're going to come in every day. They don't have that same gumption that they used to have. They're not excited to, they're not hanging out in the lunchroom. They're not happy to come to work. They're not coming to work a little bit early anymore. They're not staying a little bit late. They're coming in, they're doing the work, and they're leaving. That's it. If you start to notice that, the worst thing that you can do is punish them more. That's quiet firing. Instead, you're going to recognize it and you're going to have a conversation with them. You're going to find out from them what is going on. You've noticed a shift in the way that they're doing things. How can you make it better for them? And if they end up saying, you know what, I just have a lot going on at home in my personal life, and I really truly can't do anything extra for you. I want to come in here and I want to do my job at the time I'm supposed to be here and the time I'm supposed to leave. I really can't give any more than that. And I can only stay within the parameters of my job description. Are you okay with that? Say yes. That's what I hired you for. I'm okay with that. But if they come back and they say, you know what, honestly, I have been doing a lot of extra for you for quite some time, and I'm not feeling like it's being recognized or rewarded. Instead of immediately getting defensive and saying, what do you mean? You know, we do pizza lunches and we host barbecues and we're always rewarding our employees. Don't get into that because that's not individual reward. Ask them more questions. Peel back the layers. Find out what it truly is that they want as an individual for the company. And then find out what you can do more for them. Maybe you can offload some of the menial tasks that they don't really enjoy onto another position that maybe somebody else enjoys, and give them more of that responsibility that they have thrived in the past. These are just a few ideas, but you can really get creative here. The key is to not rebut with quiet firing. Don't punish the people who have put their probably blood, sweat, and tears into your organization for you in the past and are tired of not being recognized. Don't do that. Pay attention. And the best thing that you can do is prevent all of this in the first place by preventing quiet quitting and recognizing your employees right from the beginning. I do these lives every day on TikTok at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and every weekday at 6:49 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I had this one individual who came on there, and she was just telling me all of these amazing things that her employer does. She says, we were talking about quiet quitting actually at the time. And she says, no, my employer doesn't do that. My employer does this. And we have a thank you day. They have an appreciation day where everybody just gets the day off for the company is just thanking them for being an employee. Like, how amazing is that? And she kept listing off all of these things. I said, wow, this is a really good employer. Do you know who the employer was? It was Estee Lauder. Go look them up. See what they do for their employees. Look up other top performing employers, top employers. There is in Canada, there's a company that identifies 100 top employers across Canada. Go on their websites and see what they do for their employees. There's another one called Great Places to Work, and that's in Canada and the US. Go on their website. Just research what are employers doing for their employees. But the best, okay, that's external research, but the best type of research you can do is internally. Do your employee surveys, do your suggestion boxes, do your exit interviews, get the feedback and have individual conversations with your employees. Find out what's important to them. If you just do the guesswork, they may not be motivated by what you're doing for them. A lot of people are intrinsically motivated, but they'll only be intrinsically motivated for so long if it becomes an expectation for them to always work above and beyond without any kind of recognition. All right, I think I've gotten my point across. I'd love to hear your comments on this. Head over to my TikTok and follow. Come to my lives. We have lots of great discussions there. You can even become a subscriber on my lives so that you get full on attention. And again, you can also do a free HR strategy session with me. We get on for an hour and we just talk about your company and how I can help you. It's free. There's no obligation further than that. And if you do want a quicker win within 8 weeks, you can be a part of my program, the Complete HR Blueprint, where you get 2 months of learning the practical aspects of HR and you get calls with me twice a week for an hour. All right, that's everything today. Thank you so much for subscribing, being a continual subscriber, or for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, a tongue twister, click that subscribe button and the notification bell beside it so you can be notified every time I release a new video. And if there's a specific topic you want me to discuss, put it in the comments below and I'll make sure that I create either a TikTok on that or a newsletter on my LinkedIn or here on YouTube. And if you like this video and you want to watch more videos like this, you can watch my video on improve your company culture. And you can watch my other video on what is HR and where it belongs in small business right here. Thank you so much. See you next time.